Hi, good morning. I just want to introduce our prelude this morning is a very special one to me. I am Meg Matheson. I'm the minister of UUs of the Cumberland Valley. And every Sunday we sing this song. It's titled Here Together, and it was written by David Glasgow. And we're going to sing this at the top of the service and then at the end of the service as well.
So we'll go through this 3 times. I'll model the first verse, and you can join me the second and third time through. We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place. Now with me, ready? We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place. One last time. We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place.
Good morning. I am Kim Chappell, and I'm today's worship associate. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this church, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster. Here we come together to nourish the spirit, connect in love, and act for justice. We welcome you this morning just as you are, whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love, however you identify. Today, you are part of this spiritual community. And if this is your first time here, may you soon discover that this is your spiritual community also. During our time together, please do whatever you feel you need to do to feel fully present in this space. Move, sway, walk around. If doing something with your hands helps you feel present, please feel free to use the hands-on materials at our activity tables in the back in the Women's Memorial Room. At this time, I would like to acknowledge not just this space and time, but also the truth of the land beneath and around us. We are gathered on land inhabited by people known as the Susquehannock and the Conestoga. We acknowledge the violent legacies of genocide, displacement, and settlement that led to our being here today, and remind ourselves to live humbly in relation to the land and with all the indigenous peoples still living and loving on this continent. Many indigenous people will say, all are relatives. May we live into this truth and aspiration together. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our guest minister, Reverend Meg Matheson. Reverend Meg joins us from the UUs of the Cumberland Valley in Boiling Springs, PA, just about an hour west of us.
For our chalice lighting, these words were written by Reverend Rebecca Savage. We light our flaming chalice as a beloved people united in love and thirsting for restorative justice. May it melt away the tethers that uphold whiteness in our midst. May it spark in us a spirit of humility. May it ignite in us radical love that transforms our energy into purposeful action. This is a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intention to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move boldly toward our highest ideals. Now I invite you to rise as you are able in body or in spirit, and Eli will lead us in singing This Little Light of Mine.
As Diane comes up here, she's going to accompany us on the percussion. We're going to sing verses 1 and 2. We're going to go 1, 2, and then give Alan some space, and then we'll come back to 1. So just follow me. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Verse 2, here we go. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let's hear it from Alan, right? Thank you. Verse 1, ready? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
That was something, you guys. That was great. Now is the time that I would love to invite forward any youth, young at heart, anyone who would like to be a little closer, anyone who'd like to see what's in the Wonder Box. Anyone who wants to look at the Wonder Box with me. And I will say, as you have heard, I come from another congregation far, far away. And we don't have a Wonder Box. And so I need help understanding how the Wonder Box even opens. Would you like to help me open the Wonder Box? This is a beautiful box. I imagine it must have been decorated by the kids. So today, it's a simple one. There's just a book in the Wonder Box. It's titled The Sandwich Swap. It all began with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And it ended with a hummus sandwich. Salma and Lily were best friends at school. They drew pictures together. They played on swings together. They jumped rope together. And they ate their lunches together. But just what they ate was a little different. Lily ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich every day for lunch. Salma ate a hummus and pita sandwich every day for lunch. And although Lily never said it out loud, she thought Salma's sandwich looked weird and yucky. Ew, yuck. She felt so terrible that her friend had to eat that icky chickpea paste every day. And although Selma never said it out loud, she thought Lily's sandwich looked strange and gross. Ew, yuck. She felt so bad for her friend that she had to eat that gooey peanut paste every day. Then one day, Lily just couldn't hold back those thoughts any longer. "Your sandwich looks kind of yucky," she blurted out. "What did you say?" Selma asked, thinking she must have misunderstood her friend. "I said, your sandwich looks yucky." Selma frowned. She looked down at the thin, soft bread, and she thought of her beautiful, smiling mother as she carefully cut Selma's sandwich into 2 neat halves that morning, and her hurt feelings turned to mad. "Yeah, well, your sandwich looks gross and it smells bad too," Selma snapped back. Lily looked surprised. She sniffed the thick, squishy bread, and she thought of her dad in his silly apron whistling as he cut Lily's sandwich into 2 perfect triangles that morning. Lily scowled. It does light. Selma and Lily looked at one another from across the rowdy, splattered room, and they both felt ashamed by what they saw. They both felt really ashamed when the principal called them into her office after they had helped clean up the mess. The following day, Selma sat her lunch down across from Lily's. The 2 girls nibbled on their sandwiches in silence. Finally, Lily got up the courage to speak. "Would you like to try a bite of my peanut butter and jelly?" Selma grinned. "Sure, why not? Would you like to try my hummus and pita?" Lily laughed. "I'd like that." On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Yummy! Hey, this is delicious. This is heavenly. And the girls giggled and hugged and traded sandwiches. After lunch, Selma and Lily met with the principal again. This time, they were there to suggest a very special event for the whole school. And that's how it all began, with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and ended with a hummus and pita sandwich. And we've got a picture here of everyone eating together. The end. And now we'll sing you back to your seats. There will be more stories today, so you get to stay in.
For those who don't know, this is hymn number 1057. Go lifted up, love bless your way, moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into peace and the brightness of day.
As we center ourselves in the theme of the day being around diversity and coming together, this prayer goes to Spirit of Life, that the great Spirit of Life is the very definition of diversity. That great mystery, that nameless source who has been called by so many names throughout the ages. O great Spirit of Life, you are undefinable. We experience what some people call God so differently. And some of us don't experience anything that we would call God at all. And we all experience this mysterious holiness of being, of life, of the flow of time. We all can surrender ourselves to awe and wonder. Spirit of Life, when I speak to you, I am speaking to something within myself, something that is within every one of us. You are not out there for us to appease. You are here, right here, closer than anything we can understand. Spirit of Life, you have been known by so many names. In much of Judaism, your name is too holy to pronounce aloud. In Islam, you have 100 names. Around the world, you are called so many names, such as Brahman, Allah, Ba'a'ullah, Jehovah, Elohim, El Shaddai, Adonai, and you are here. You are me, you are us, the Spirit of Life, the mystery of consciousness, confounding science, and adored by Unitarian Universalists. I have a especially beautiful joy this morning to share from Dan Wirt, who says that he's slowly gaining strength and would like us all to know that he's progressing well for now. And beyond that, just to hold all of your beautiful joys and all of your deep sorrows that you brought with you here today. I'll invite you to come forward and leave a stone to represent your joy or your sorrow. And as they all come together in one piece, showing how we're all connected, we share in this way. Amen.
This is a story by John Lewis, the recently deceased giant of the civil rights movement who died this past year. And it's from his book, Walking with the Wind. On this particular afternoon, it was a Saturday, I'm almost certain, about 15 of us children were outside my Aunt Suneva's house, playing in her dirt yard. The sky began clouding over. The wind started picking up. Lightning flashed far off in the distance, and suddenly I wasn't thinking about playing anymore. I was terrified. Aunt Suneva was the only adult around, and as the sky blackened and the wind grew stronger, she herded us all inside. Her house was not the biggest place around, and it seemed even smaller with so many children squeezed inside. Small and surprisingly quiet. All of the shouting and laughter that had been going on earlier outside had stopped. The wind was howling now, and the house was starting to shake. We were scared. Even Aunt Suneva was scared. And then it got worse. Now the house was beginning to sway. The wood plank flooring beneath us began to bend. And then a corner of the room started lifting up. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. None of us could. The storm was actually pulling the house toward the sky, with us inside it. That was when Aunt Suneva told us to clasp hands, line up, and hold hands, she said, and we did as we were told. Then she had us walk as a group toward the corner of the room that was rising. From the kitchen to the front of the house, we walked, the wind screaming outside, sheets of rain beating on the tin roof. Then we walked back in the other direction as another end of the house began to lift. And so it went, back and forth. 15 children walking with the wind, holding that trembling house down with the weight of our small bodies. More than half a century has passed since that day, and it has struck me more than once over those many years that our society is not unlike the children in that house, rocked again and again by the winds of one storm or another, the walls around us seeming at times as if they might fly apart. It seemed that way in the 1960s, at the height of the civil rights movement, when America itself felt as if it might burst at the seams. So much tension, so many storms. But the people of conscience never left the house. They never ran away. They stayed. They came together and they did the best they could, clasping hands and moving toward the corner of the house that was the weakest. And then another corner would lift and we would go there. And eventually, inevitably, the storm would settle and the house would still stand. But we knew another storm would come and we would have to do it all over again. And we did. And we still do, all of us, you and I. Children holding hands, walking with the wind. That is America to me. Not just the movement for civil rights, but the endless struggle to respond with decency, dignity, and a sense of brotherhood to all the challenges that face us as a nation. as a whole. That is the story, in essence, of my life, of the path to which I've been committed since I turned from a boy into a man, and to which I remain committed today. It is a path that extends beyond the issue of race alone, and beyond class as well, and gender, and age, and every other distinction that tends to separate us as human beings rather than bring us together. That path involves nothing less than the pursuit of the most precious and pure concept I have that has guided me like a beacon ever since, a concept called the beloved community. That concept ushered me into the heart of the most meaningful and monumental movement of this past American century. We need this concept to steer us all where we deserve to go into the next.
So we've had two great stories so far today, and I'm going to give you a third story. After talking about sandwich wars and talking about walking with the wind, I have a story about three wise women. Now, you may have heard of the three wise men, but there are three very important wise women that I want to introduce you to. Once there were three wise women. Their names were Patrice, Opal, and Alicia. They were wise because they had started to notice something. They started to notice that unfair and scary things were happening around them. They were wise because when they noticed this, they spoke out and did something about it. Alicia was upset when she heard about Black people being treated unfairly. She had heard about an African-American boy who was killed, and she thought, I have a brother, and he's Black. Does his life even matter? This was really upsetting for Alicia, and she decided to say, Black lives matter. Patrice heard Alicia and agreed with her. Well, of course, Black lives matter, Alicia, Patrice said. All people's lives and all animals' lives matter. But Alicia said, it feels like a lot of people don't agree that Black lives matter as much as other lives. And Patrice agreed that Alicia was right, and that made her really sad. But even more than that, it made her angry. She was glad that Alicia was saying Black Lives Matter. So Patrice decided to say it too, and to say it louder. Opal heard her friends saying Black Lives Matter, and she thought, they're right. And more people need to hear this. So Opal decided to tell lots and lots and lots and lots of people. She told everyone she knew and asked them to tell everyone they knew. And soon, hundreds and thousands of people were saying it. Black lives matter. Alicia said some important words. Her friend Patrice helped to say them louder, and their friend Opal made sure that together they said it to everyone. So all three of them were very wise women. They noticed something was wrong and they decided to do something. The three wise women all did different things, and in that way they helped each other, so that today there are signs and bumper stickers and people all over the world saying Black Lives Matter. Let's say it together now. Black Lives Matter. So that story is a true story of Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, and Opal Tometi to thank for, at this point, more than 10 years ago, beginning what we now know of as the Black Lives Matter Global Network. These three remarkable young women are truly prophets of our age. And they may not agree now, but at the time, 10 years ago, they were very young women. And young people are often not listened to. Not in our culture, not in lots of cultures. Women are often not listened to. People of color are often not listened to. Queer people are often not listened to. And these three women embodied all those things, but by combining their voices, they created a big, loud voice that amplified their very important message. And that message can't be ignored. Like it or not, it's pretty much everywhere now. And some people don't like it. You probably know some people who don't like it. And that's not a surprise. Historically, prophets are not liked. That's putting it nicely. If you think of such prophetic figures as Jesus, Muhammad, the Buddha, or even more modern prophets of our time, like Desmond Tutu, James Baldwin, Dolores Huerta. One of the reasons we honor them and those like them is because of the struggle that they went through. Struggles, I would note, that were not caused by God, not caused by Mother Nature, but struggles that were caused by other humans. We are who we are because of each other. That collective amplification of voices makes us who we are. This interconnected web of existence, our seventh principle, right? Really all of our principles. The mysterious energy that binds us together, there's a word for that, and there's a page in your order of service, if you want to look, Ubuntu. In researching for this sermon and learning about the three wise women, I watched several interviews on YouTube of the three wise women, and they kept using this word, Ubuntu. And when I Googled it, the first name that came up was Desmond Tutu, so I thought, okay, all right, that's good. This is good stuff. Ubuntu. It's an African humanist belief that we are all connected. I am because we are. And what I would like is to invite you, whenever I say that word during this sermon, to go ahead and hold up your Ubuntu. Let's give it a try. Ubuntu. We're going to hold it up. Let's hold it up and say it. Ubuntu. Ubuntu. Nice. Nice. We're living it here. That's what a church community is. That's what a congregation is. We are, and therefore I am. I am because of what we are. For our beloved Desmond Tutu, Ubuntu is a solid foundation for his Christian faith. He says Ubuntu speaks particularly about the fact that you cannot exist as a human being in isolation. It speaks about our interconnectedness. You can't be human all by yourself. And when you have this quality, Ubuntu, you are known for your generosity. He goes on, these are still the words of Desmond Tutu. We think of ourselves far too frequently as just individuals separated from one another, whereas you are connected, and what you do affects the whole world, and when you do it well, it spreads out for the whole of humanity. Another person, Nelson Mandela, who's a secular humanist, not a Christian, spoke of his humanism as Ubuntu. There it is. Barack Obama said that Ubuntu is recognition that we are all bound together in ways that are invisible to the eye, that there is a oneness to humanity, that we achieve ourselves by sharing ourselves with others and caring for those around us. That sounds an awful lot like our seventh principle. I really think Barack Obama might be one of us. So I've just named 3 wise men right there: Tutu, Mandela, Obama. 3 men who agree that this idea is vitally important. But let's turn back to our young prophets, the young women who point to Ubuntu when they say Black Lives Matter. These concepts are interchangeable. And they're not saying Black Lives Matter more than other lives, or Black Lives Mattering somehow makes other lives matter less. They are talking about Ubuntu. You are getting your arm exercises in today. That if any one of us doesn't matter, if any one of us matters less somehow, then it brings us all down. Then we all don't matter. I'm not a Black person, but I need Black lives to matter right here, right now, where I live, because we are so connected, all of us. My life matters when your life matters. So what happens when people say all lives matter? It's one of those really tricky things with words. It's actually changing the subject. Because even though the words sound similar, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, it sounds similar. But when people say Black Lives Matter, this is really a shortened way of saying a lot more. It's a shortened way, as we all know, of saying that in our culture, right here, right now, the lives of Black people, and really all people of color, don't matter as much as white lives here and now in this culture. We're acknowledging that they don't and they should. So, yes, in a sense, we believe all lives matter, in the sense that we believe all lives should matter and need to matter. That's our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity. We do believe that all lives have inherent worth and dignity. But we can see that in our culture right now, there are wounds that need to be healed. So, a better way to say all lives matter would be to say all lives should matter. Or a really, really great way to say it would be there's inherent worth and dignity in every person. Paul Farmer said, "The idea that some lives matter less is the root of all that is wrong with the world." Soak that in for a minute. The idea that some lives matter less is the root of all that is wrong with the world. And as you use, again, our first principle, this is what it's about. Ubuntu, okay, making sure you're awake, means that all of our lives should matter and that we are all connected. It means that I matter because we all matter together. I come from a generation where I was taught in school not to see color. And at this point, we've probably all come across the idea that that's not good. But for those of us that were brought up not to see color, it's kind of hard to really get exactly why and put your finger on it. So I just want to give this example that in my experience as a white kid in a mostly white school was that when we were taught not to see color, that translated in a young person's mind to not being white was something that we were supposed to just be polite about. Like, that person looks different, don't point it out. That person looks different, they're probably embarrassed about it, don't point it out. Do you see where this is going? It's not good. It's not a good thing. Don't embarrass that person by mentioning that they look different. And I internalized this way before I could ever put a finger on what was wrong with it. And many of us have had to spend years unlearning that. Because multiculturalism is a beautiful and grand and important thing. Diversity is what makes us grow and change. It's what challenges us. We want to be around people who are different from us, who teach us new things. Again, this is part of our Unitarian Universalist faith, is if you believe something different from what I believe, I want to learn from you. I may disagree with you, but I want to learn more than just what's in my little bubble here. So, this is February, Black History Month, and I'm kind of just bringing in all the different cultures as well. You know, you've heard me mention Judaism and Islam and all sorts of things this morning. The whole point behind it all is this piece of paper. You ready? You ready? I'm giving you a warning. Ubuntu. You got it. You got it. You're with me. It is such a beautiful thing that enriches all of us. So, going back to the idea of the prophets, you know, we're taught in school, I was taught in school to remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And one of the important things about someone like him, or Desmond Tutu, or the other people that I've mentioned, Barack Obama, the three wise women, is that they were disruptors. They didn't just sit and be quiet. They saw something was wrong, and they stood up and said something about it. They worked together to have a loud voice, and that's exactly what we do here. We are together in this space for many different reasons, and one of them is to have a loud voice together in our community. The three wise women were probably pretty uncomfortable speaking up. They all three of them, as far as I know, have memoirs. I think it's Patrice Tometi's memoir that's titled "When They Call You a Terrorist." It hasn't been easy for the three of them, but they did it anyway. And because they spoke up, lots more people found the courage to speak up too. I did. Ubuntu. Ubuntu. I am who I am because of who we are. And if you are brave, that helps everyone around you to be brave too. This is happening all the time, every day, and I would love to, I would hope to one day be like the three wise women, Alicia, Patrice, and Opal. And I think they'd be really welcome here in this church because we believe in speaking out when things aren't fair. We believe in speaking out for ourselves and for others. All of us, regardless of age, can learn something new about how to be good people. And that being quiet is not the same thing as being good. And that you matter. Your heart matters. The holiness in you is real, it is beautiful, and you are so loved. And you won't be any less holy or loved if you are loud and speak up for what's right. One last time, let's say it. Ubuntu. Thank you, my friends. And now we're going to stand as you're able and sing together, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People," number 170.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
This is the time in our service when we will pass the plate and accept your offerings. You may also go to our website to make a donation online. A portion of the offering this month will be shared with Patients Are Waiting. Please consider that as the plate is passed, that the Walters Unitarian Church Trust will match each share of the plate donation dollar for dollar. Before we pass the plate, let us read in unison the affirmation of faith that's found in the order of service, first in English and then in Spanish, and it's also in the inside of your hymnal, right at the front leaf. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ofrenda. Este es nuestro gran pacto, el convivir unidos en paz, el buscar la verdad en amor, y ayudarnos unos a los otros. Plates may now be passed, and while they are being passed, I'd like to draw your attention to several announcements. Please look to our weekly email newsletter, the Love Letter, which comes out on Thursdays for weekly need-to-knows and events at UUCL, as well as look at our Facebook page and website calendar. And to sign up for the newsletter, please contact the office. I would draw your attention to the two announcements that you found in the leaflet tucked into your order of service regarding what next week's topic is going to be with Reverend Pat back on the pulpit. And also that day following the service, a workshop from 11:30 to 1 on gathering a UUCL Justice Council. And I will not read these for words for you. You can do that very well yourself. But anyway, two important things next week. We gratefully receive the generous gifts that you have just given, freely given, and we dedicate them to the work and aspirations of this congregation. Reverend Meg.
And as we extinguish the chalice, I invite you to reflect on the fact that whether you feel it or not, whether you know it or not, you are not the same person who walked through those doors about an hour ago. You are stronger and healthier and more ready to face the world. And you have all of us supporting you so that when you come back next week, we will make this simple room special by doing worship together. And you will again see the faces of all the people who love and support you, because Ubuntu. Ubuntu. And we'll finish up by singing the outro version of Here Together. Thank you, Eli.
If you would like, you may rise in body or spirit. You do not have to. We have spent